Low CQ and lack of librarians of color cause policies, procedures, services that are poorly suited to serve multicultural communities. Institutional biases has created barriers that handicap people of color. Social inequalities found in disproportionate communities are digital divide, digital literacy, and lack of services, resources, and information. Racial inequalities are so deeply ingrained in American society that they are nearly invisible, and why Americans are unaware of the advantages they enjoy in society and of how their attitude and actions unintentionally discriminate against people of color. Librarians need cultural competency training classes to build awareness and the ability to understand the needs of diverse populations to bridge the social and economic gaps. Metacognitive experience are essential to the development process because they provide individuals with the opportunity to build new knowledge. In addition, test reliability and validity of their existing knowledge in different contexts. Structural biases. Underrepresentation of librarians of color cause policies, procedures, services that are poorly suited to serve multicultural communities in libraries. Structural barriers such as access to technology, relevant information, and resources create compounding effects that systematically advantage white people and disadvantage people of color. In essence, information have-nots are disproportionately found in rural areas, poor, underserved, and marginalized communities. According to Sony, structural racism excludes people of color from full participation in decision making. The inability to obtain universal access to information is a complex issue minorities, marginalized, and underrepresented communities face. As our society becomes more diverse, providing cultural intelligence education has become critical for all future librarians. People of color are increasing at a high rate, and librarians need to find ways to address racial equity. By 2060, people of color will represent approximately 57% of the U.S. population, numbering 241 million out of a total population of 420.3 million. Librarians with low CQ face psychological strains during cross-cultural interaction because of lack of understanding and mental adjustments to different cultures, and they are less likely to develop affective bonds with people of other cultures. They decrease interpersonal trust. Institutional biases. A study found that white received 50% more calls for interviews than black candidates with the exact same resume. The only difference was the candidate name. It's even worse at the leadership level in academic libraries, with white, non-Hispanic senior positions make up 87% of the workforce. Librarians are reacting to situations subconsciously, and our actions have real-world effects on employment and education. Equal employment opportunities at the bottom of the job listing is not enough. According to Kumaran, without diversity representation and knowledge and experience that may come with it, some libraries continue to deal with the same problem for over a decade. First, materials that librarians and archives have historically undervalued are often the most valuable resources for the students of non-traditional subjects and overlooked groups. Second, librarians that have ethnocentric collections, services that preserve the dominant culture's view, ideas, and resources, ignore cultural differences, strengths, encourage assimilation, and blame victims for their problems. Third, libraries create program services with the assumptions that one size fits all. Personal biases. Librarians and information professionals need to address implicit bias, given that implicit bias are unconscious and automatic. An example of personal bias is the belief that people of color are not qualified. You must have obtained the position through some affirmative action or program and not because of the person's ability. Self-awareness helps librarians integrate members of diverse groups into services by engaging, understanding, and respecting cultural background other than one's own or the dominant group. Library and information professionals need to understand cultural issues affecting minority and underrepresented communities. CQ intelligence improve multicultural communities' performance at an early stage. Employees will become alert about cultural differences and use their cultural knowledge to behave appropriately and generate and implement ideas to better support library users. Cultural intelligence. Cultural intelligence, CQ, is defined as an individual's capability to function and manage effectively in a cultural diverse setting. Some components of CQ intelligence are cognitive CQ. Cognitive CQ is the individual's knowledge of cultural values. Metacognitive CQ, also known as CQ knowledge, is understanding intercultural norms and differences. Motivational CQ is the willingness or desire to seek out, continuously learn from cross-cultural experience. Behavioral CQ is the way people display cultural appropriately verbal and nonverbal behavior during cross-cultural interaction. Diversity, equity, and inclusion recruitment plays a crucial role in recruiting diverse talent and often provides the first impression of a company's culture. Libraries need to make conscious efforts to be seen as knowledgeable and welcoming to staff that mirrors their increased diverse community they serve. According to Public Library Association, through a high inclusive process, libraries will become a space for discovery, creation, participation, learning, performing, and innovating.